Hi there, and thank you for joining me on this Asking Questions in Tarot Masterclass. So, asking questions in tarot is probably, one of the most important things to master in order to have a really insightful and valuable reading. So, although obviously learning to read the cards is super important, it's just as important, if you want a really insightful reading, that is, to learn how to ask questions in tarot. In itself, it is a skill, and it really makes a difference from just having a sort of a general reading to having an outstanding and extremely insightful reading. So with that said, we will move on to the masterclass. So as I said, asking questions is as important as being able to interpret the cards accurately. I love this quote from Carl Jung, to ask the right question is already half the solution of a problem. So really this is not just for obviously tarot, it's for every part of your life. Learning how to, ask the right questions is really, like Carl says, it's you are getting to, half the solution of your problem. So this is how you have to approach tarot. And don't just take the first questions that come, whether it's you asking the question, it's your own personal reading, or whether it's for a client. You need to unpack the question. You need to take a step back and ask yourself, how can I get more information? If I ask this question in another way, would I be able to get more information? You kind of have to ask yourself that straight away. Is there a better way of asking that question that will give me more information via the cards? Okay, so that should be the first thing that you ask yourself. Okay, so general questions give general answers, and specific questions obviously give more specific answers. So it's important to know how you frame your questions. Okay, so this is a good rule of thumb. So if you want to give more specific information or get more specific information for your client or for yourself, you have to reframe the question and really get specific so that you will get that information back through the cards. Okay, so however, having said that, there's no wrong way to ask the questions to the tarot. However, if you want the most insight and information from a reading, then it's important to really think about how you ask your questions. Okay, so just let's stress that I'm not saying that there's a right and a wrong. I'm just giving you another way of looking at asking the question so it benefits your reading, so you get more information, you get more insights. Okay, but there's no wrong or right way to ask the question. So firstly, get clear on the end result you're looking for, and ask yourself the following questions. Okay, 1, are you looking for guidance on how you can get to where you want to go? Or 2, are you looking to be told what the future has in store? Okay, so is it going to be, are you looking for guidance? Is it like you want to get information so you can act on it, take action? Or are you just looking to be told what the future has in store, and that you don't need to do anything, that like it's not, you're not looking for action steps, you're just looking to be told what's ahead? So you need to get clear on which one which one of those it is when you're asking questions, because then you will have different ways of asking the questions depending on which one it is. Okay, so you need to get clear on whether you want your readings to be empowering or predictive, or a bit of both. Okay, so the first question, the first one is going to be will empower you when you're looking for guidance, because you're going to get action steps. Okay, the second isn't, that's predictive. It's actually, it can be disempowering sometimes, so you have to be very careful with the predictive readings. If you're looking for reassurance from your readings, then avoid questions that will give you predictive answers, which include yes or no answers. Okay, so that's really important. This is when people ask these sort of questions, this is when people kind of get a bit disheartened or deflated from the tarot, because it will feel disempowering if this answer is not what you're looking for. So that's why it's important to learn the other side and how to ask more empowering questions, which is why you're here today. Okay, so questions that give a yes, no answer. So let's look at this first. So if you do decide to ask questions that give a yes or no answer, now let's be honest, I'm still guilty of doing that. I try to avoid it as much as I can, but of course I'm still going to ask. So, and you will too. But so look for, but what I'll say, what advice I will give you for that is look for more information in the cards, okay? So for example, from experience, tarot tends to answer questions that are yes/no answer like this, okay? Yes, if you do ... or no, because ... So it's a lot, yeah, from my experience, a lot of times it's not just a yes or no. It's giving you, it will give you more information in that card, okay? So sometimes those type of questions, if you do not look for additional guidance, can take away your own power, and one can become dependent on the tarot to make all their decisions for them, okay? So that's a very important point there. So let me read that again, okay? Sometimes those type of questions, if you do not look for additional guidance, can take away your own power, and one can become dependent on the tarot to make all their decisions for them, meaning that every time you, like, you know, you want an answer to something, or you want to know what to do, you will keep going to the tarot and ask, oh, should I do that? Should I do this? Yes or no? You know, and then you're not really kind of trying to figure it all out yourself. So, you know, the tarot should just be a supportive system for you. It shouldn't be running the show. So reframe the questions in a way that the tarot gives you all the information you need in order to make an informed decision, so that you can go away after a reading and take action in the direction you need to go. Okay, so that's going to be your most empowering sort of tarot reading. Okay, so just an example. So the moon, we have the moon card here, and this is for the question, will I find a soulmate relationship, right? So it's a very common question asked to the tarot. And so, yeah, so the answer here would be, so this is a yes card, even though some people might, in this instance, some people might draw this card for yes and no answer and think, oh, it's the moon, it's like a negative connotation to the moon, so it's no, I'm never going to find a soulmate. But if you go by what I've said about how the tarot works with yes or no, what way you could look at the answer being yes, the actual answer is yes to this card. However, you need to do some karmic pattern or subconscious mind healing first. So the moon, so that's another perspective on that card. So that could have been like, you know, someone could have pulled that card and then they're thinking, oh my God, it's negative. The moon is not one of the positive cards, even though they're all a bit positive and negative together. But this is what happens, especially in the early days of reading. Until we get more, you know, until we master it more and get more experience, we tend to just are reactive instead of, you know, being more neutral and calm, especially when we're reading for ourselves. But yeah, so that's another way of looking at that card, how that could be read in a yes or no situation. So yes, but you need to do some karmic pattern / healing work first, because the moon is all to do with subconscious mind, and our repeating negative patterns. So that would make sense there, because you're not going to call in that sort of relationship, a healthy relationship, if you're full of karmic, full of unresolved trauma, and full of karmic or repeating karmic patterns. Okay, so we always have to clear the karmic patterns before we can up level into those healthier soulmate sort of relationship. So that makes absolute sense there. So that's the way to look at it. So next time you're doing asking a yes or no question, have a think, remember to use this sort of perspective in it, and you'll get a lot more. It will feel a lot more empowering then as well, and helpful. Okay, so faith-based questions versus action. Faith-based question versus action/advice-based questions. Okay, so what an example of this? An example of faith-based questions start with is, will, when, should. Okay, so that's how we generally ask questions, faith-based questions. So when we're doing predictive readings, this is the way this is how these questions start off. Is, will, when, should. Is my ex-boyfriend coming back? Will I ever marry? when will I find the love of my life? Should I get back with my ex-boyfriend? So these are, these questions are as if you don't have any power in your future, which is not true. Okay, so you're very much a co-creator of your future. So these questions are as if you don't have the power. So action advice-based questions start with what, how, and why. Okay, so that's a general rule of thumb. If you want to come away from the faith-based questions and ask more action advice-based questions, start your questions with what, how, why. What do I need to do to bring in a healthy relationship? How will I find the career of my dreams? Why can't I have healthy relationships, or why have I not been able to have a healthy relationship up to now? Okay, so then you're getting advice so that you can actually change patterns, old negative patterns. And so an example of a faith-based question as I've already given some there, but we'll give you another one. Will things get better? Versus action advice-based. So we'd reframe this into, how can I make this difficult situation better? Okay, so there you go. So if you were answering that, will things get better, from the card here, which is the 9 of Wands, will things get better? If you saw that, if you pulled that with a faith-based question, you're going to feel even worse. So it doesn't look very positive. But if you reframed it and asked, how can I make this difficult situation better, and you pull that card, now this is a different scenario. So it's saying, well, just keep going, keep battling through, because things are going to get better. That's sort of the energy in that card as well, that if you keep going, you're near the end. This guy is near the end. He's number 9. Although his journey's been difficult and he's met loads of challenges, he's nearly there. And that's how that interpretation of that card will come out in the action-based way of asking that question. So that's a good example to see that, to show how, it's a completely different energy when you ask it in whether it's faith-based or action-based. Okay, so another example of faith-based, will I find new love? To action or advice-based, how can I invite new love into my life? Okay, so again, very different energy from this card depending on what way you ask it. Okay, so will I find new love? You draw the Hermit. Guess what? You are gonna feel really, pessimistic and lose all hope. Oh my God, the Hermit. No, I'm gonna be on my own for the rest of my life. That's how you will interpret it. And especially if it's about yourself, because you're going to be more sensitive and more emotionally attached to that. So we tend to then go to the kind of more negative end of the card. But if you change that question and you ask, how can I invite new love into my life? Now this becomes completely different. The advice is, go on the inner quest, do the inner work, you know, and really get to heal that yourself, get to know yourself, a lot of introspective work, and go on that self-discovery journey, and it will come in and it will align with that. That will help to align you with future new love. Much better. Okay, so will I find my dream job? Faith-based for the hangman. Will I find my dream job? So you get the hangman and you're like, oh no, I'm gonna just give up now. This is what happens. This is why we have to be very careful with these sort of questions. Will I find my dream job? Because it will disempower you instead of empowering you, even if that's not what it's, you know, what's kind of most probably going to happen. But what if we pull cards, especially these big life questions on faith-based, they could put our energy off, and they can put you onto a timeline that's more resonant with it's being like, you know, the worst case scenario of the card, like the hangman. You will think, well, I found my dream job. No, I'm not gonna find it. I'm just destined to stay in a job I don't really like, or I'm not fulfilled in, or I'll never ever have that job that I really want. So that changes your whole energy. Remember, your energy is what creates the future as well, as obviously as well as other things, but you've got a big part to play in that. So that could actually, you know, deter you off you know, put you on a path which is not aligned with your dream job, just because you've interpreted it like that. So that's why be very careful with the faith-based questions. Always have backup questions, when, as in, probably the best way to do it, if you're going to do faith-based questions, then have backup questions to get more information on why that is the case and how you can change that. Okay, so you want to be doing that to give you more help on and get into what you really want to manifest. If you leave it like that, it's going to affect your energy, and it will affect the outcome into a less positive outcome. And so then if we reframe that and say, what steps can I take to find my dream job? So then the card takes on a completely different meaning. It's telling us that we need to take a step back and look at things from a different perspective, to change our perspective, to take a step back from probably the current, whatever we're doing currently, and take a time out, and then a new, you know, new direction will reveal itself, or new opportunities will arise. So then it's a completely different energy. It's a much more positive, hopeful energy. Okay, so reframing questions. Okay, so try to reframe certain questions to get more helpful advice. So if we come away from the faith-based ways of asking questions, so it was is and will, sorry, 1 second. So just going back here to the faith-based questions: is, will, when, should. So when they come up, I want you to just take a step back and say, okay, how can I reframe this question to make it more helpful and more empowering? So for example, here is the question: is my new boyfriend going to be my husband? So you could, so someone could come to, this is a very common question to be asked when you're a tarot reader. So then you would say, okay, let me try to change these into, not try, but let me change these into more empowering, action orientated questions. So you can get more insight and more guidance, so that you're helping your clients get to where they really want to go. Okay, so here are some examples of how to reframe that particular question. What qualities in a partner bring out the best in me? What type of relationship is for my highest good? What is the future potential of my current relationship? So you've created 3 questions there for that one, but that they're going to all together, they're going to give you all the information for that person to to make that decision themselves, or what to do. Instead of telling them what to do, you're giving them all the information, like, so that they can make their own informed decision on that question, which is a much better place to put your client or on yourself, instead of getting it all from the cards, or the cards telling that person, no, that it's a no answer, that, or it's a yes. But sometimes there's a gray area, it's not black or white. So that's why it's really good to reframe these type of questions. Okay, and the next one, will I ever get promoted? So you can reframe, that's in a job, and you can reframe to the following: what signs will I see when a promotion is likely? What actions do I need to take to get promoted? And how will I know if I'm aligned with this job? And what do I need to know about my career? Okay, so they're again giving a lot more insight and a lot more guidance, and then they can go away with action steps to go in the direction of getting that promotion, instead of just pulling one card. It may not be positive, and then that's just going to be a really negative energy on yourself or the client. Okay, so the next one, should I leave my job? You can reframe this to the following: what does this job give me? What is my highest potential in this job? Overall, what can I expect from this job over the next 12 months? You could do whatever, 3, 6, 12 months. So again, that person can make it more of an informed decision on that, instead of just being told what to do. We should always more aim to equip people with that, just more information, so they can make the decision. So tarot is not, or you're not making it for them. And the next one, will my relationship last? So you can reframe that sort of question to, what can I do to nurture and grow my relationship? What needs to change within me to save our relationship? And what needs to change within my partner to save our relationship? What do I need to know about my relationship? And how can we reconnect to each other? Now, isn't that so much better? So imagine if you had that reading, and the difference between asking that faith-based, or that question where we've got no power, we're being told what to do, to actually giving the power back, but giving them loads of insight in order to make a decision that's based on understanding the situation more. So it's a much better space to be in. Will we get back together? So you can reframe this kind of question to the following: what led to the breakup? What is the long-term potential if we get back together? What needs to change for the relationship to work? What is the spiritual lesson we're both learning here? What is my best course of action right now? Okay, so again, really empowering, more understanding of the situation, therefore making a decision that's going to be more in alignment. Okay, but that person makes a decision, not the tarot and not you. When will I meet my soulmate? Reframe to the following: what is blocking me from finding soulmate love? What do I need to release to invite in a soulmate relationship? How can I stop repeating past love mistakes? What do I really need in a romantic relationship? And what signs will I see when a soulmate is nearby? So yes, so there is, when we really get into those questions, so it's like the simple question, when will I meet my soulmate? And when we reframe these questions, take a step back and actually look for the more action-based, advice-based versions of that question, then you have got an outstanding reading for yourself, or for a client, whoever you're reading for. So the other important thing to remember when asking questions to the tarot is to ask yourself, what are you ready to hear? Especially if you're asking questions about somebody else. This is so important, okay? Because, the tarot is just it will just give you the information that you asked for. It's not going to decide whether you're ready for it or not. So you have to decide before you ask any questions to the tarot. you know, what am I ready to hear? And especially this will come, obviously, this will be more relative to the faith-based questions. So that's really a big reason why I created this masterclass and added this into my course as well, my tarot course, is that the faith-based questions, especially when people are starting out learning tarot, they can actually turn people off reading tarot, and they can really affect like their their conscious, like whatever they're trying to manifest in their life. It can really drain their energy or put them on a sort of a negative kind of mindset. So really important to prepare properly before asking questions, like asking real, you know, being really honest with yourself and getting real honest with whoever you're reading for. You know, what are they ready to hear? And yeah, so, and especially, yeah, if you're asking questions about somebody else as well. So you cannot control their thoughts, actions, feelings, or beliefs of others, but you can control your own. So that is why it's very helpful to ask questions around what you can do in order to bring in a desired situation into your life, as opposed to asking about someone else or asking only questions that give a predictive answer. So you will see the real magic in tarot when you start asking questions that empowers you to take the necessary steps towards your desired outcome. This is conscious manifesting through the tarot cards, okay? So that's a very, very important point. And just remember that. So it's about what you can control. And so avoid asking about other people. You know, always come back to you, because you only have, like, as I said, you can only control you. You know, you can't control other people. And so if you don't hear what you want to hear as well, that can feel extremely deflating, because you can't do anything about it. So really try to stick to where your control, what you have control over when you're using tarot, because then you feel the magic, as I was saying, or like you'll really feel how powerful and supportive tarot can be for you in your life if you use it in that way, as opposed to using it in a way that as if you don't have any control over your life, your circumstances, or your future. Okay, so 3 tips for asking powerful questions. Okay, try to stay focused on what you can control. Like I said, it's very, very, very important. Okay. So when you're reading for other people, the same thing, bring their attention to that. Let's focus on what you can control. Second, ask advice or action-based questions in your readings. Okay. So don't just, a lot of people get stuck in the mindset of thinking, oh, tarot is all just about faith-based questions and predictive questions, when I think the tarot shows its real power and magic when we actually ask more of the action and advice-based questions. That's where I think the most, well, from my experience, the most value I've gotten out of tarot is when I ask questions like that, and then I implement that into my life, or that I take the advice from the cards, and then I see massive results. Or so yeah, that's my experience. And then number 3, get to the heart of the question, and then reframe your question if necessary. Okay. So that's what I was saying. Just don't take, when you get the question, unpack it before you just go in straight into the cards and ask that question. Have a look at the question and think, is there a better way of asking this question? How can I get them more insight? How can I get them more guidance? So yeah, things to consider, and get to the heart of, like, really get to understand what is being asked. What are they asking you? A lot of times that first question isn't really what's what they want to know. So unpack it and ask, you know, what is the situation? How is it a problem? Ask them that. How, like, why do they want to know that? And how is it a problem? And what is their desired outcome? What's really being asked? So these are things good to consider before you decide on the question that you're asking tarot, because then that's where you start to that's when you'll start to have understanding of of how to reframe it, and what questions to use when you're reframing it as well. So here are 12 most powerful questions to ask the tarot. What do I need to know about ... Okay. What is coming into my conscious awareness about ... I love that one, because this will really show you what's coming up, and it kind of gives you a heads up. So, you know, to show you what's coming in. Like it normally, when I ask that question, I sort of, it's something that's coming in very soon. It could be in the next few hours or the next day, but it's manifested. It's already happening. So kind of, if it's something not so great, it gives you, like, you can prepare for it. You know, so like, so that's, you know, I prefer to know, and you know, kind of prepare my energy for it. Or if it's something good, then it's like, yeah, you can, you know, it's nice to know something positive is just about to come into your reality. What actions do I need to take to manifest my goals? What actions do I need to take to manifest my goals? What new opportunities are emerging? What should I be most grateful for right now? Actually, I'm going to pull a card for that one. What should I be most... So I use this every day in my, well, not every day, but most days. When after I meditate, I have several questions that I'll ask every day. One of them is this. One of them is also, what advice do you have for the day ahead, so I can get the best out of my day? And also, what should I focus on today? And what do I need to know today? So, but let's have a look at this one. What should I be most grateful for right now? Tarot, what should I be most grateful for right now? The Four of Wands. Well, I know what that is. That's to do with my coaching sessions and just basically working with clients I love, and that's, you know, things are becoming very stable in my life, like a stable foundations, but also you know, I've created my own life coaching business as well, amongst other things, and it's becoming very stabilized as well. So yes, I'm extremely grateful for this. Spot on, tarot, as always. So yeah, let's move on. What advice can you give me on this situation? How can I create more insert feeling in my life? Actually, I'm going to pull a card for that one as well. How can I create more joy in my life? So let's see what tarot, how can I create more joy in my life? So I've got the Eight of Wands. So basically, I love this as well. This is saying, well, what I'm getting is just to keep going in the direction that I'm going, because I'm on a path that's very aligned, you know, for my highest good and the highest good of all. So it's just basically saying, keep going, you know, keep going on the path, and more joy is going to come into your life. So that's lovely. Thank you, tarot. How can I live in alignment with my highest good? What might I experience if ... What does my soul need from me right now? What matters most in my life right now? And what resources are available to me right now to create more abundance? Okay, so I mean, pause this now and take out your tarot cards and ask and pull a card for each of those 12 questions and see what you get. Okay, so that is it for my free masterclass on asking questions in tarot. thank you so much for joining me. But just firstly, before I wrap up, I just wanted to say that, like, in my opinion, the best readings have a mixture of action and advice-based and predictive questions, okay? So remember, every reading is based on the current energies. So it is also helpful to see where the current energies are headed, so you can make changes or you can prepare yourself if the outcome is not favorable, or get clarity that you're on the right track if the outcome is favorable. That's why I like to use both together. So it's more just that it just gives me more foresight so that I can, make better decisions in the present time. So if you would like to dive deeper in your tarot studies and learn more about asking questions in tarot and how to become a more confident and intuitive tarot reader, I have a self-study online advanced tarot reader course where I cover love and career readings in depth, and I show you how to do advanced tarot spreads and how to become a professional tarot and much more if that's what you're aligned with. And I also, in that course, you also get an opportunity to do email readings for real people. So real questions from real people, and it obviously all confidential, but it gives you a safe space in order to practice your reading. So by the time you do start going professional, that you have the confidence. So yeah, it'll also be feedback given, and you can use those as testimonials for your own business as well. So yeah, so that is that. And if you want to learn more about that, you can go to my website, www.bohemianlifestyle.co.uk. And one final thing, I just want to reiterate that when you're using tarot cards, make sure you're in either neutral energy or above. Don't do readings if you're in fear or anxiety energies, and especially, when if you're asking, we tend to lose our sort of rational thinking when we're asking tarot when we're in that sort of emotional energy or a negative emotional energy. And the energy will connect to those cards, and the readings will not be accurate. So it's very fear and anxiety, and it's very potent, and it won't be accurate. So just make sure that whenever you're doing tarot cards, come into your heart center, come to neutral, and do a meditation before you do readings. But just step away from the cards if you're feeling in fear or anxiety, or especially if you're emotionally attached to what you're asking the tarot. So yeah, that's probably the best advice I can give you in terms of making sure that you have a very lovely helpful accurate tarot reading. So yes, that's it from me. Again, thank you for joining my free masterclass on asking questions in tarot. I hope you got some value from that. And if you have any questions yourself on any of this, or you have any comments, I'd love to hear. So drop me a line, and you can send me an email on info@bohemianlifestyle.co.uk. In the meantime, look after yourself, and hopefully see you at one of my classes again soon. Take care.